Welcome in, everybody. Tom Curran's Patriots Talk Podcast. It is the aftermath. And yeah, for those of you watching on YouTube, I am dressed like your science teacher, and I have a new backdrop. Those of you listening to this can tune in to Tom Curran's Patriots Talk Podcast on Thursday. But who cares? Honest to God, who cares, Tom? They're here to listen to football talk. And there is football to be talked. Phil Perry will join me in just a second. But Patriots win 22-17 at MetLife Stadium over the 5-2 Jets. Patriots now 4-4, Jets 5-3. An interesting thing occurred to me as this game was unfolding, especially at halftime. Anybody who wanted to make any proclamation whatsoever had plenty of ammo to do so. If you wanted to say Mac Jones was out there knocking off the rust, you saw enough throws in the first half to indicate that. You saw enough scrambles. Anybody who wanted to maintain that Bailey Zappe should be in charge of the offense, you had ammo for that too. You had a pick six nullified by kind of a touchy roughing the passer call, but the correct one in 2022. You had an offense that was unable to cobble together any touchdowns at all in the first half. If you wanted to maintain that the Patriots' problems were related to, well, hell, Matt Patricia. You got an offensive line that was giving up sacks at an alarming rate, and it continued through the end of the game. And there wasn't a lot of cogency on offense. It was 1st and 10, jailbreak, 2nd and 10, handoff, 3rd and 6 or more, let Mac make a play. And he made a few of them. 3 for 4 in the first 3 first downs by arm from Mac, and then 1 running on their first 4 third down opportunities. So that's where I was at halftime. By the end of the game, however, and I put up a poll that we'll get to in a few minutes, I felt as if Mac Jones had done enough to get up off the floor. Our high floor guy had gotten up off the floor and created enough positivity, I think, to show that the Patriots can maybe at least put this thing to rest. Maybe not to bed for good. Maybe they didn't drive a stake through the heart of the Mac Jones, is he the guy or is he not the guy conversation. But for the time being, I think we can move ahead. Now, here's the poll that I put up. How are you feeling about Mac Jones as we head to the fourth quarter? Pretty good, 7%. Okay, getting better, 32%. Not comfortable, 46.8%, and 14% seen enough, zapping me. So that's basically 60% of the populace on my Twitter feed, and 2955 voted. 60% not feeling that great still. Understood. By the end of the game, we'll see. So how did the protagonists in this one, not the Jets and the Patriots, but Bill Belichick and Mac Jones, how'd they feel after this one? Here's Bill Belichick on Mac Jones' performance coming back.
I thought he made good decisions, managed the game well, managed our team well. And that's what a quarterback's job is to do, is to help the team win. That's what he did.
First things first, just kind of opening statement here. Just wanted to give a huge congratulations to Coach Belichick on his accomplishment. And obviously he's done a great job here, and it's just a blessing to be able to play for him. And obviously we don't do the whole individual awards, but that's a big one. And it's just to be his quarterback right now is just a huge blessing.
So Bill saw from his quarterback what he wanted to see. Probably not perfect, but certainly worth a pat on the back and a couple of hugs. And Mac's blessed. So are we, because we have the Senator Phil Perry, who's always got eyes on the prize and on what's going on. He is at MetLife Stadium. What's up, hombre?
How we doing?
Feeling real good. It's hard to say anything got put entirely to bed, even though I tried to say that. But I feel encouraged that Mac Jones, knocked off some rust and had enough positive plays, pressure, sacks, would-be pick six, decision-making, red zone malaise, notwithstanding, enough to say, okay, all right, we'll ride forward. What are you thinking, babe?
Well, I felt even before this game that there really shouldn't be a conversation when it comes to who should be playing quarterback. I feel as though they should just go with Mac Jones and ride with him the rest of the way. Give him the year. Figure out what he can do. It's a new offense. You have to be patient. He's a young quarterback. The toggling back and forth is not sustainable. It's never worked. It's not a good idea. So it shouldn't be a conversation to me. Now, does this kill the conversation for those who want to keep it going? No. I don't know how it would. It wasn't a clean performance, clean enough, I should say, for those folks, I would imagine. Even though, Tom, people should have understood that would be the case coming into this game, meaning this is probably the best defense that the Patriots have seen all year. It's going to be one of the best defenses that they see by season's end. They are that good. Really good in the secondary now with the 2 new corners that they got this offseason. Tremendous up front. And so this was always going to be a very difficult game back for Mac Jones to insert himself into and wrestle the job away from Bailey Zappe, according to anybody who thought that it maybe should be Bailey Zappe's. It was always going to look pretty ugly. There was very little chance that they were going to come out here and score 35 points and Mac was going to come away with 125 quarterback rating. So we should have expected something like this. But now that we have it, I think it does in some ways add fuel to the fire for the Zappeites, because the pick six, Tom, that got negated at the end of the game is just an unbelievably massive swing. Bill Belichick talked about it at the end. He didn't mention the pick six that came back, but he mentioned the 10-point swing. So they kicked the field goal at the end of the first half. Then they score a touchdown at the beginning of the second half. But if you add in the touchdown that got wiped off the board at the end of the first half for the Jets, that's a 17-point difference that occurs in 5 minutes, less than that, of game action. So there's going to be plenty available for people to pick apart if they want to do some picking apart after this one.
Mac's performance, again, I mentioned all the things that it contributed. And one of the bigger ones to me is there were 8 possessions that ended in Jets territory of the first 9, and the only one that didn't end in Jets territory ended at the 50. Patriots were staked to unbelievable field position all day. They managed 5 field goals, a touchdown, a pick, 1 turnover on downs. That might be 9. I don't know. But I be that as and a couple punts. Partridge in a pear tree. How much was rust? How much was the offensive line? How much was the Jets? And the Jets and the offensive line are interlinked, but I say James Ferentz in for David Andrews, for instance.
Yeah, and you can add Cole Strange getting benched for Isaiah Wynn.
But that's the offensive line.
Second half there.
But that might be the Jets. Anyway.
It's both. It's both to me, because Cole Strange comes through with 2 big bad penalties that leads to him getting benched. I think there are issues on the Patriots offensive line. So to me, I probably would start there. I think the Jets are excellent, and I don't want to take anything away from them, but I'd probably put them at number 2, and then I probably would put Rust at number 3. I don't know how much of his decision-making, Tom, in terms of some of those plays where he tucks it and he scrambles, is that he's not seeing it and he's getting jumpy and he's leaving good. I didn't see him leave a good pocket. It's not like.
I didn't love his decision-making after he left the pocket on 2 different plays. One, he seemed indecisive on the C.J. Mosley penalty. Shouldn't have been a penalty on C.J. Mosley. I don't care. You get hit in the head. You're a ball carrier, and you're not giving yourself up. You're crunching down like a boll weevil and trying to pick up the first down is what you're doing there. And the other, to sashay along the sideline, either trying to pull a World Cup soccer, sucker him into a flop on the sideline, or what. I hated that decision-making. Also, on the Hunter Henry, they gave it over on downs. No, it wasn't Hunter Henry. It was Aguilar was breaking open free at the numbers on the 3rd and 5. Anyway, one of the first drives. There was a window to get it to Aguilar, and it looked like Mac got brain lock or nervous on it. So, but that was all first half stuff. Second half, I really felt as if he said, okay, you know what? I'm out here, I'm playing, let's play. And you saw much more of somebody playing with some confidence.
So I chalk up the bad decision-making in terms of protecting himself almost in a different bucket. Those bad football decisions, those are really more big picture self-preservation bad decisions. And I agree with you on both of those. You have to clearly slide on the first one. You have to just get out of bounds and live to see another play on the second one. The Aguilar brain lock one is an interesting one to me. That's one I didn't, I'm not able to watch the broadcast here. So maybe they had a good replay on that one. But it'll be interesting to look back at that and see, was he even looking at that side of the field? Where's the progression taking him? I think they helped him out in terms of helping out the Patriots offensive line by going hurry up. When you can't rotate through, James Ferentz told me after, they've got 8 guys up front that they can rotate in that are all dudes. There's no pushovers in that group that they have. for the Jets. And so by going with the hurry up, you keep those big bodies on the field. They can't rotate them through. Maybe they get a little bit more tired. The assignments in terms of who's covering whom for the Jets get a little muddied when you're mixing things up and you're getting to the line quickly. I thought going no huddle was a really smart call. Whoever it was, whether it was Bill Belichick or Matt Patricia, good job by them, because that helped and it allowed them to at least get a little bit of consistency in terms of moving the ball. They only had the one touchdown drive in the game, but I thought that helped them a lot just in terms of being able to get some kind of rhythm, because it felt like all through the first half, they really had none. And then they got away from it towards the end. I think they're trying to maybe salt clock a little bit, Tom, but offensively, they were bad. Bill Belichick admitted it. They were bad really the last quarter and a half of this game too. So it was like they had it for a spurt and then it went away.
They did have it for a spurt. And I thought too, again, I'm not trying to say that Mac Jones looked like the second coming of anybody except the first coming of Mac Jones, and still he's very much TBD. But there were throws he made during that stretch. Tyquan Thornton on the sideline, a couple of finds of Jacoby Myers. There were some good throws on the day. Devontae Parker completion initially too, but especially the one to Tyquan Thornton and some of the finds of Jacoby Myers that it made me say, okay, I don't know what Bailey Zappe is going to look like in 3 or 4 years, but this was a drive that kind of highlighted what Mac Jones can afford you in 2022 that Bailey Zappe can't. Not that he'll never be able to, but right now.
Good point by you, especially with the hurry up. I don't know if that's in Bailey Zappe's bag. They did go to it a little bit against the Bears. I thought late. They went to it late against the Bears, I believe it was with Zappe.
Sucks.
So it was like, it wasn't like they couldn't do it with him, but they were reluctant to do it almost with him. The other thing that I don't think you would be doing a lot of with Bailey Zappe, and I may be wrong here, somebody who knows the X's and O's better than me may tell me something different, but there was a lot of 5-man protection, shotgun, empty spread. 5 receivers into the route. You've got to be your own best protection, Mac Jones. If they bring an extra guy, he's got to be yours. That kind of thing. That's a lot for a rookie quarterback. I remember Kurt Warner telling me about that last year because he saw it early from Mac Jones. He said, man, this is really impressive. Teams don't typically ask young quarterbacks to do this. So they asked Mac Jones to do that a lot. Now, that might just be because the Jets were consistently just rushing 4. They did start to blitz a little bit, I think, especially in the second half, started to bring some corners off the edge. So maybe they looked at it and they said, listen, they're only rushing 4. We've got to get a lot of receivers out into the route, because if we're protecting with 5 or 6 just because we can't handle their 4, then they've got 7 guys to cover our 3. That's not a great matchup for us. So
and they were covering their 5 pretty well too.
Exactly. So it may have been more about what the Jets were able to do with their pressure packages, which were, again, they were, I think, kind of vanilla, but they were just so talented, and the Patriots were banged up and missing pieces, and that it was not a fair fight. I think that is the origin of a lot of the Patriots' problems today. Is just they were getting beaten down by the Jets front today.
So what's that tell us? Patriots just went to MetLife Stadium. They beat a 5-2 team that was on a 4-game winning streak, a 5-2 team that had beaten the Packers, that had beaten the Dolphins, that was riding a very good defense and a quarterback that wasn't making mistakes. The Patriots went there and beat them 6 days after losing to one of the worst teams in football. So now the Patriots are 3-4 over their last 4. They're at 4-4. Are they a mediocre team trending towards good, just sniffing around the tail of it? Are they a bad team beating up on another bad team and just they're going to tick-tock back and forth all season long? Or is it TBD? Are they a team that's capable of anything, regardless of what we saw today, given what we saw last Monday, given what we saw today, given what we saw with their backup quarterback? I don't know what to expect from this team. This is the least predictable team, and it shouldn't be this bad. That's where I get back to the coaching staff. The head coach is the same. The quarterback's the same. Quarterback was pretty successful last year. They're better on defense in many ways. The skill position players are better. So why are they a worse team? That's what I ask you. I'm flummoxed.
I think it's a fair question. I'm not going to say, Tom, that I can sit here on the field here at MetLife Stadium and tell you exactly who the Patriots are. And I don't want to take anything away from them after winning a divisional game. They needed it. Devin McCourty said that after the game. We needed to win this game. He didn't call it a must win, but we got beat up by the Bears. That was bad. We're getting booed on our home field. So if he's willing to acknowledge it, the team at large is probably feeling it, given where he stands with this group. What I see from the Patriots is I see a team that is good enough to win its share of games, but I think would have a hard time beating teams with good quarterbacks. I think because, number one, I don't know enough about their defense yet to say that they can sit back and shut down a great one. They had a great first half against Aaron Rodgers. It turns out the Packers are maybe just not very good this year. I have questions about the defense, and I have questions about the offense if they can keep up with a good quarterback. And so that's what this league is. And so to get to your initial point, are they a mediocre team? That's probably what I would say they are right now. And they beat up on a horrible quarterback today, a guy whose numbers did not tell the full story about where he's at in his career. The Patriots defenders were pretty open about that after the game. I found a little bit surprising, given that they're playing the guy again in 2 weeks. But they knew he was going to give them opportunities for turnovers, and he did.
What the hell? You know what? Let's run that Zach Wilson sound that we have from the postgame. Skull Crusher.
The Patriots, you haven't been here for this whole streak, but obviously you guys talked this week about getting kind of payback for last year.
Yeah, we'll have these guys in 2 weeks.
Sorry for the encroachment on me there, Phil. Back to your point. They thought he stunk.
Yeah, I think they just watched the film and they said, okay, he hasn't thrown a pick in 3 weeks, but there are plays here time and again where he's backing up 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage and chucking it down the field. And so maybe they're not.
He has no qualms about just sprinting at his own goal line.
Boy, and just no idea how to throw it away for a guy who's got great arm talent. That McCourty pick along the sideline, he was trying to throw that away, but he did it in such a dainty way.
He was hitting the kicking net after that. Yeah, he was drilling the sidelines after that one.
Unbelievable. So, not a good player, not a good offense. They're able to win because of that today, in my opinion. How is it going to look? Again, these are the teams. If they're going to be a contending team, if they're going to elevate from mediocre to good, you have to give a team like the Bills a game. You have to challenge them. You have to challenge a team like the Raiders, I think, who still have a lot of talent at the end of the season this year. Will they be able to do that? I think they're going to need to continue to grow because they've got a lot of room to improve on both sides of the ball before we're talking about them like a good team.
Yeah, like you take a game like you got the back-to-back games with the Raiders and the Cardinals. And I'm sure that people will be sniffing and snorting about, please, Kyler Murray. Yeah, Kyler Murray. Same kind of brand of football that you could see from Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields. Run around, run through you, make throws over your head. There's no walkover with the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray. And people would sniff and snort and think no, the Patriots are right in that same big old bucket of mediocre along with the Cardinals and the Giants and I don't even know if the Giants belong in that bucket of mediocre with the Patriots. They might be looking down on the Patriots, for God's sake, Phil. For cry eye. Isn't it? All right. What else you got before I untether you to go do your column and I'll get ready to do mine?
Just a couple of positive takeaways, maybe under the radar positive takeaways. Because
yes.
They hammered the offensive line. We're looking at Mac Jones. We're talking about, what about that interception? What about the one that bounced off? Did it bounce off Isaiah Wynn's helmet and almost landed in the arm?
Yeah, he also spiked it off of C.J. Mosley's boobs.
If those two throws go down as picks, and I know ifs and buts were candy and nuts, every day would be Christmas, but we're talking about a different sort of outcome here today. Under the radar positives, Jabril Peppers stepping in with Kyle Duggar down, leads the team in tackles. Power bombs a guy on a punt return that sends Marcus Jones down the field for a 30-yard punt return. Somebody who we thought would be able to make contributions when they signed him this offseason. He really hasn't until today.
He had a little spice out there. Peppers did, yeah.
He did. He's a spicy individual. I really liked what he told me after the game on the onside kick. Just a little inside football. Tells you a guy who's played a lot of special teams. He said he saw and you notice, I'm sure on the broadcast, the kicker did that little side winding path to the ball.
Yep.
He said he saw the kicker before doing that. Even though he was aligned to kick it away from Peppers, he saw the kicker do this with his fingers 3. And he said usually for kickers, there are multiple alleys that they can kick to on onside kicks. So number 1 would be far left for the kicker. Number 2 would be about, I don't know, several yards in from that, closer to the middle of the field. 3 would be middle of the field, but on the other side. So he picked up that little cue. And even though he was directed away from Peppers, he knew there was a chance he was going to come back to him. Played a lot of shortstop, he said, growing up. And so he said he didn't want to wait for a hop. He wanted to make sure he got that thing on a good hop, and he attacked it. Didn't get eaten up by the football. Ends up being a big play for them. So
you know what?
He was an under-the-radar good player for them today.
It is, and too bad it didn't stay under the radar, Phil, because that'll probably cost the Patriots a draft pick for him stealing that sign. That's the type of thing that when that happens at MetLife Stadium, can lead to all kinds of accusations of chicanery and skullduggery. You got any other nice tidbits for me? No, that's it. All right, go back to right.
That was my last one under the radar. How about
All right,
Nicky
we got
Folk?
the breakdown.
Give Nick Folk a shout out. Did you give him a shout out today?
I always do. I'm the only guy who had his back a couple years ago and people wanted to cut his ass.
Oh, you're an OG. You're an OG.
Yeah, I'm an OG. I got a Nick Folk concert T-shirt from 2020. I have a Jake Bailey shirt too. I'm going to trade that thing in. How about DeMarcus Covington or whoever it was trying to get him cut?
DeMarcus Covington coaches the defensive line. DeMarcus Mitchell, boy, that was
was rough. That was a half a Leon let. Yeah, gain weight. I got this. Come on, DeMarcus.
He was hot on the sidelines about something after the fact. That feels like the kind of play where you would just get back to the sideline and just say, sorry, guys, my bad. But he was hot about something. I'm not sure what.
One too many people must have said, what is you doing, DeMarcus? 100% that's what happened. Okay, I know I made a mistake. It's like when Phil always keeps pointing out to me when I screw something up. And I finally say, okay.
Like would you call a player by a coach's name?
Speaking of calling, for those of you on YouTube, I want to show Phil this.
Ramondre Stevenson, another good under-the-radar player, 143 total yards, over 6 yards per touch.
He did. It's going to be a way to put this in, too. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, Phil.
Oh, yeah. The old landline phone.
Got a landline.
It's not a rotary. You don't have a rotary phone at your house?
No, this thing's updated. Anyway, folks, we've had a great time. Phil's in MetLife Stadium. He'll be back tomorrow. He's got the breakdown with Ted Johnson. Of course, Quick Slants is on Tuesday. We will have the game plan on Wednesday with Vince Wilfork. And then on Thursday, it'll be Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast with a sexy new backdrop. Make sure you call in. Have a day.